More than 2,000 people are dead after the strongest earthquake in decades devastates parts of Morocco. We begin in Morocco, where more than 2,000 people are dead. Many more are missing following the earthquake that struck the country early on Saturday. Entire villages are reported to have been flattened, like here in Taroudant. Rescuers are scrambling to save families trapped underneath the rubble. It's a challenge made harder by the fact that roads to many of the worst-hit areas have been blocked by landslides. And in many remote towns, like here in Tanzgat, buildings are made of traditional materials like mud brick, and nearly every one was damaged. Well, 10 people here were killed. And the survivors face sleeping out in the cold mountain air for a second night. Well, as rescuers dig to find victims, families rush to dig graves. Islamic tradition requires bodies to be buried as soon as possible. Well, in the past few hours, Morocco's King Mohammed VI held an emergency cabinet meeting. The government has told local authorities to stockpile tents, food and drinking water. Authorities are also rushing to reinforce the national stock of blood, and people have been queuing up to make donations. The BBC's Nick Beak sent this report from Marrakesh.
First, the panic as they run for their lives. Then, the chaos as debris rains down and dust consumes the streets. This is Marrakesh in the moments after the quake. Late-night diners flee their tables. At the Koutoubia Mosque screams as the tower seems to sway, but doesn't succumb. But many other buildings in the city crumbled. They'd stood for hundreds of years and collapsed in seconds. But it is in the Atlas Mountains where there is the greatest damage and the greatest loss of life. In the province of Al-Haus, more than 500 now confirmed dead. Isolated communities, hard to reach, with roads broken and blocked. In Marrakesh, we saw the damage there and found those trying to prize their possessions from the wreckage. Youssef tells us he was sitting with friends and then suddenly dust fell from the sky. Then everything came down, he says. All we could think of was to run. With no power, no phone signal, many decide to take shelter out in the open, fearful there could be aftershocks.
The force and intensity of this earthquake was felt in our building almost 3 times. People went out into the street just after this total panic, and there are families who are still sleeping outside.
To the south of the epicenter, hands and hammers tackle the rubble. No official help here. Further west, there were teams of rescuers searching for families still trapped in their homes. Back in Marrakesh, this is the Medina, the ancient part of the city. A symbol of Morocco's history, shaken, and the future, for thousands, now uncertain. Nick Beak, BBC News, Marrakesh.